guys, it's Taya, and we're back with another succulent video. There may be a lot of background noise, but just ignore that for me. So today we are going to be going over my succulent collection. So in the last video I said I have around 80 plants, like pots. We're going to be going over most of them, probably not all of them. And this is my backyard. My backyard's not the nicest, and it's under trees where leaves fall. So my succulent table is pretty messy. There's weeds, there's a lot of dirt, no grass. So just keep that in mind as you watch. So let's get into it. I started collecting succulents just over 3 years ago. Over these 3 years, I've definitely collected a lot. I've had a lot die on me, but I've also had a lot thrive. So here is my succulent table. Sorry if the camera's all shaky. I'm using my hands to hold this, and it's just my phone, and I'm kind of bad at recordings. As you can see, the table is obviously really dirty. That's from the trees that are above me. They drop a lot of leaves and also a lot of dead flowers, so you'll see that in a lot of the succulents as I try to pick them out. So here's this wooden planter that I got from my sister-in-law. It's breaking apart, and of course there's dead tree material in it. But all of these plants that are in here I propagated from a plant. Like, these weren't bought in containers. This is from one plant, and they were already this big. This one's definitely the biggest, which I put in the middle purposely. But they have grown a lot since being in here. So moving over here, these are a lot of my propagated succulents. Most of the small ones. Actually, a lot of this table is propagated, I just noticed. These are all my Echeveria chromas. Here is a big pot of those ones that were in the wooden planter. These ones are Echeveria lilacina, one of my favorites. Here is a pot of my leaf propagated Echeveria Pearl von Nurnbergs. There's so many. Here is one of my absolute favorites. This is Echeveria zaragoza. It just produces so many offsets. Actually, I got this one from Home Depot. You can see it has a lot of spots on it, and that's from when it rained. There was a lot of water, I think that sat in the leaves, and it did that to it. So another reason why you don't want to let water sit on your plants. This one is unidentified, and it has gone through a lot of mutations since I've had it. As you can see right there. Okay, there's a bump on the leaf, and there's actually, if you look on these outer ones, like right there too, there's bumps on some of these leaves. And this plant isn't supposed to even have bumps. And you can tell in the new growth, it's a lot more clustered than this old one was. This one is my Echeveria setosa, and it has a bloom coming out. I can't wait to see what the blooms look like. I know I said in my other video that I like terracotta pots, but when you're looking at this table, you can see that a lot are plastic. Most of them are. But that's mainly because there's smaller plants, unlike this one, and this one could use terracotta. But a lot of them are like propagated ones, smaller ones. So those ones are just kind of like temporary homes. You can see these are ones that I've had for a longer time. They're all in terracotta. Oh, these are, I'll tell you about that later. But yeah, the plastic ones are kind of temporary until I buy more soil and more pots, because I definitely need to buy more terracotta pots. So that is why there's so many plastic pots. This one is silver arrows. Let me see, I still have it. Ow, got poked. This is definitely not a crassula, or crassula, however you pronounce that. Well, all I know, I don't know the first part, but I know that's a silver arrows, and I know this one is a dominoes. And I got these crazily from Walmart. Little plant rescue. This one is blooming. So excited. This one is etiolated, and I forgot to mention that in the light category of the last video I filmed. Etiolated means when they aren't getting enough light, so they begin to stretch out. Some become leggy, like this one did, because that's the old growth. You can see it's all leggy. Or some just spread out and they get a really pale color of what they used to be. So this dark green is what it's supposed to be, even darker. And the light green you can see is where it got etiolated and stretched out. and that was because I've been keeping it in my room and it wasn't getting enough light, and I was keeping it in my room because I was pollinating it, which is what these are for. I pollinated with an Echeveria Polydontis. This one's actually an Echeveria agavoides. I don't think I mentioned that. And so to keep insects from cross-pollinating it with other things, making the seeds void, I've covered them in napkins and little twisty ties. Over here we have an aeonium. My grandma Pearl gave this one to me. Sorry for the dogs barking in the background, those aren't mine. This one hasn't been doing well on this spot. I think it needs more sun. As you could tell, it's losing its color, like I said. When it etiolated, that's a sign. It's also going dormant right now. Aeoniums are opposite than something like an Echeveria Debbie, for example. They are actually dormant in the summer and come out of dormancy in the winter. When an aeonium is closed up, that means it's dormant, and when it opens up, that means it is no longer in dormancy, and that's its growing period. This one is another aeonium. I don't even know what it is because I saw a bunch of them in front of a gas station that's like 15 minutes away from me. I should have gotten more because there was a huge mat of them. Here is a little pot of burrow's tail. Pulled this one aside so you could see the pot. It's so cute. I actually made it myself in ceramics. Little ears. I saw a picture of it, or one like this online. I changed it up a little bit just so it had some originality. But I thought the burrow's tail would be great in this pot because it looked like hair eventually coming out of the owl's head. And I definitely put a drainage wall at the bottom. Can't have a pot without drainage. Here is an Echeveria topsy-turvy, I believe is what this one's called. Can't remember the scientific name for it. I've had this one for a while and it hasn't grown very much, but also because I don't fertilize, so maybe that could be one reason why. Here is my Echeveria Debbie. It's another one of my favorites. I just love the purple. Anything like purple succulents or any succulent that's super colorful is probably going to be my favorite unless it's one that's very prolific, because I also love prolific succulents. Here is an Echeveria Black Prince that I got from the nursery I work at. We'll see that they're loose, and the new ones are firm, a lot firmer actually. And the new growth is a lot darker, the one's more pale. At home, they get more individual care, and at a nursery, it's definitely a lot harder to care for them more specifically. It's definitely put on a lot of new growth. It's a lot healthier. And the reason why I got a Black Prince from the nursery is because I had one, and I killed it. It actually died from the too much heat from the summer. And when I went to the nursery, this was even before I worked there. It was like quite a few months before I started working there actually. I saw the Black Prince and I just had to get it because mine died, and I love Echeveria Black Prince. Over here is another succulent that I got from my nursery. It was a lot fuller, but I definitely cut off a lot of growth just so I could free up the pot so I could put little babies in there, get even more growth in there, and also so I could start another pot. This one is called Kalankoe Fedinkowski or something like that. I don't know, something like that. It's some hard to pronounce name like all of them. Here is the plant that I got, like one of my first 3 succulents. Well, my second try at succulents, my first 3. This one I thought was an Echeveria Superbum because that's what it was labeled as, but I later found out, not Echeveria, Graptopetalum Superbum, but I later found out that it could be some other variety of it, but it's definitely not a Superbum. This is what a Superbum looks like. But of course this one was labeled wrong. You could tell the difference. Let me put them next to each other. Definitely a difference, and even in the coloring, the shape of the leaves. So this one is probably like a Graptopetalum, what's the name? Morosky or something like that. That's one of the possibilities, but I do not know what it is. So if someone knows, feel free to let me know. This one is kind of a pot of randoms. This one is a Graptoveria Fred Ives. I got this one from a succulent pal swap on Instagram, and it has a huge baby growing underneath it, and it's also blooming. Here is an Anacampseros. I don't remember what type of Anacampseros it is. The purple one is like Rufescens or something like that. I bought ladybugs to get rid of the aphids, but it looks like all the ladybugs left. This one I got at San Francisco. Here is an Echeveria Pearl von Nürnberg. I got this one in a giveaway. I won this one. And this one is the one that I beheaded. And I just stuck it in this pot. It kind of looks like a different, like, I know there's one it looks like a Pearl von Nuremberg, but it's not. I don't know if this is maybe a different variety similar to this one, because it definitely looks different coloring. It's a lot darker. I don't know. Here is my Echeverria Neon Breakers. It's super pretty in the summertime. It'll have purple, green, pink. It turns a lot of pretty colors, and I love the frills. I used to hate that. It used to remind me of something like cabbage. I just never liked it, but I love it now. Here is a whole pot of the Kalanchoe cuttings I got from the other plant. There was definitely a lot on that plant, and so I divided them up. Here is a cacti. I can't remember the name, like Notocactus something. I can't remember. There's just, there's so much harder to remember than all the other succulents like Echeverias. Here is a moon cactus that I got from my sister-in-law. Here is my pot of chromas. It is very full of babies and offsets, as you can see. This one grew off of another stem, so this one. These ones are growing off a stem from a different plant. This one's like a main plant right here. This one's a main plant with, I don't know if that's a bloomer. No, that one looks like a baby growing off. And this one is a baby too. Ew, aphids. Definitely a lot going on in this pot, but I love my chromas. Here is a hedgehog cactus. I love this cactus so much. So cute. I just love the pink little spines on it. I think it's the cutest thing. Here is another plant that I got from my nursery. I got this last week. It's a crested one. Huge chunk that just broke off because it got so heavy. Oh. A crested succulent, if you don't know, is one that is mutated, and it's a bunch of succulents growing off of one main stem like this. It's kind of mutated together. You can tell the difference. So we have moved out to my front yard where my porch succulents are, and also I'm going to show you some other plants that aren't succulents just because, you know, it's my collection. So here we go. This one is an Echeverria imbricata. Definitely one of my favorites. I've always loved this since I've gotten interested in succulents. It used to be on my wish list like for the longest time. It's just so pretty to me. I think it's the wide leaves and the pink tips. The growth on this one is super compact, and it used to be a lot bigger. I actually got this one when I went ziplining for my 16th birthday, I think it was, or my 15th. And this one was lying in a pot that they had. Here is an Echeverria lilacina. This is also another one of my favorites, and while filming this video, I just discovered it has a bloom, as you can see. And I'm super excited because this is the first time it's gonna bloom for me. I think it's one of my favorites just because of how powdery and white it is. I love white succulents just like the Lola and the Fleur Blanc. Those are also my favorites. So you notice that a lot of my favorites have something in common, like they're purple or they're white or they're prolific. The next one and the last one, this is my Echeverria Allegra. It definitely has some sideways growth. Another thing that I should have mentioned while talking about lighting, I'm just thinking of so many things afterwards that I should have mentioned. Also, before I forget, watering. Don't let water sit in the crown of the succulent because that will cause crown rot and will kill your succulent. So back to the lighting and why this one is all crooked. If you don't rotate your plants, or if the sun is only shining on them from one direction, they will grow off to the side that the sun is shining on them. So I'm gonna have to rotate this one. So here is an unsucculent portion. These are my orchids. I only have phalaenopsis orchids, because they're just so easy to take care of, and I don't really want to start a whole new obsession with all types of orchids. Actually, these big ones that you see, I got from my local Rayleigh's only for $13. This one I got from a family friend, Kelly. She's known me since I've been 3 months old, and I made her a painting. And in return, she gave me this orchid, which I just love so much. So that was my succulent collection that I got a little carried away. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe so you can see more. If you want to be notified when I post my next video, go ahead and click the little bell. I was going to show you guys how I water my succulents as well, but I kind of ran out of daylight and time, so that'll be the next video that you guys see. So that's it for today. See you guys next time.